to kind of lift the veil and reveal to us what's likely happening behind the scenes. So soon since the incident, we have a few key pieces of information. The suspect is alive. There's a note which makes reference to ISIS. And this was a daylight, brazen attack on Halloween in a very populated area. What does that initial information tell you about what happened in New York?
The individual's intent on inflicting harm and death, directed towards our society. In reference to the information that's being provided, there isn't enough of the investigation that's been conducted to determine his affiliation with individuals inside or outside the country at this point. So I think we're speaking a bit prematurely. They have to allow the FBI, for example, to conduct its investigation. It's still in its infancy. They're collecting forensics. They're going through his electronics, his computers and cell phones. They're examining any type of communication avenue he may have had and who he's had it with within the country and outside of the country. They're canvassing his community. They're meeting his neighbors. They're going to any place he may have been in a work environment to canvass people and to interview them to see if there was anything from their relationships they could tell would lend itself to this. But, these are becoming so boilerplate at this point that these aren't even like, per se, difficult investigations. They just need time. And unfortunately, we live in a culture where we like instant gratification, and even our public officials, they're providing information that, in my opinion, is a bit premature. We need to let the investigative organizations do their jobs, let them discover and disseminate as they go along.
Well, let me follow up with you on that point, because this happens in the afternoon of Halloween before a major, parade in this part of the city. Families, of course, wanting to take their children out to trick or treat. And we heard from officials, the governor actually alluded to this appearing to be like a lone wolf attack, telling New Yorkers to be resilient. We have NYC strong trending.
We don't know if it's a lone wolf attack.
Right?
That's exactly correct, sir. There's a whole investigation that needs to take place before we can assign him as being a lone wolf. That's the bottom line. And I'm a little, how would you say, concerned that we're quick to give out information that is not accurate. In reference to any type of correlation between the fact that it happened on Halloween, it's likely that this person is completely disconnected to the significance of Halloween in New York City. And as far as the target goes, there are targets in New York City that are much more target enriched, for example. I've had discussions with other individuals who are current and former law enforcement agents as myself, and we've been waiting for this to happen. We're, I guess in a sense, if you could put this in context, happy it didn't happen on Fifth Avenue, where there's a lot more density of people. Clearly, he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish.
And just clarify, when you say this, we've been waiting for something like this to happen. What exactly?
The use of a vehicle, for example, to run down people on the sidewalks. If you go down Fifth Avenue, there are absolutely no barricades between the curb lane and the curb. And why he chose this particular area, we're going to hopefully find that out. There's a unique dynamic that exists with this particular case. We have a subject that's alive, and we're going to be able to derive information from him. And our federal agencies, again, through their normal channels and the interviews or interrogations of this individual, they're going to cultivate a lot of very valuable information.
Typically, in instances where an attacker has claimed an allegiance to ISIS and has, taken on this act in order to inflict as much terror as possible, that individual goes down. He dies within that fight. Sometimes they want to see themselves as a martyr for the ISIS cause. How unusual is it that this suspect was taken in alive, didn't appear to have weapons other than a pellet gun and a paint gun? And what does that tell us about his motivations or preparations or lack thereof?
Well, I will say to you, the fact that he was brandishing things that appeared to be, and that's what's in the penal law in the state of New York, he brandished weapons that appeared to be firearms. He got the desired result. He wanted to be shot, and I think the police officer who shot him, I have to say, was fortunate he didn't kill him. In other words, I think by brandishing a pellet gun or a paint gun, you're trying to draw a reaction from law enforcement. He got the reaction. He just didn't get the final product he was looking for. I think that's really what happened. A lot of people, they want to commit what we call suicide by police. That was attached to this. There's no doubt in my mind. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come out with two useless tools as far as inflicting harm. A paintball gun's not going to do a lot of damage to you, nor is a pellet gun. But it will raise up law enforcement, and it will draw a reaction from them similar to the one that this police officer
And we saw
generated.
in some of the eyewitness video of the suspect, he didn't appear to know what to do. He was kind of walking around aimlessly in the New York City street after the incident. Lou, stand by for me because I want